Hello everyone. Sorry if I sound a bit groggy, I kinda just woke up, but today I'll be showing you how to use my hair card generator, which can also be used for favors as well as to advertise for, but besides the point. You can find it on Gumroad, and pretty much I have a simple scene here. I didn't make this model, someone sent it to me, and pretty much I'll show you how to use and set up my generator for this. It's very simple and it can apply to most meshes. So, we have a simple scene, right? We can see this is our scene collection. Over here is our scene, like files and stuff, all the textures and all that. So what I'll do is go to File in the top left, click it, Append, and I will go to where you downloaded the Gumroad asset if you bought it. And if you buy it, you can always ask me, like contact me personally on Discord for help setting it up. But I'm recording this video because some people may be curious like its capabilities or how to set it up without contacting me, which is totally fine. So I went to File, I went to Append, I opened the project scene. Oh, okay. I'll open the blend because when you append, you can actually add stuff to your scene directly from another Blender project. I don't know. A lot of people don't know that, but it's pretty useful. So open it up, go to Node Tree, and double click Entro Favor Generator. And now it should be in the scene because if I bring this down, which you can find in here because it's in the outliner, but by default it's the view layer. But besides the point, now it should show here in the node groups. Now what you can do is in order to add it, right, you might think, oh, I can just go to geonodes and add it, but no, that's not how you're supposed to set it up. I'll show you how to set it up now. Sorry if you hear my creaky ass chair, it sucks. Or the pet birds, they're kind of loud. But here. So let's say we want to add it to the 4x. I'm pretty sure this is the 4x. I don't know, I'm not a bug nerd. But what we're going to do is press Shift and D to duplicate it. Right click to cancel the position. So now it's in the same exact spot. We're going to rename it to hair. And then we're going to parent it to the 4x. Let me just make sure the scale is alright. You always want to make sure the scale and everything is 1:1. See, down here. Doesn't matter the position, doesn't matter the rotation as long as they have the same transforms. What we're going to do now is then we can add the geonode modifier. We have all these settings, right? First, you're going to want to select your target model, which is the 4x, right? And then your target color. Let's just do this. And then in theory, if we raise this, oh, that's too big. Yeah, you don't want it to be too big. Oh, shit. Yeah. Let's go lower the size. There we go. See, now it's generated. I have all these little hair cards, but they're not combed. You know, it may not be how you want them. May be on the wrong color. Because actually, you can filter it. The fifth option, if you raise it, I'm pretty sure. No, if you lower it, it will go closer to the color you picked. Is here. Let's make sure we also select our material, which I'm pretty sure is this one. Let's check. It's pretty much you want it to be like the same material, so I can grab the colors if you wanted to do it that way. But here, I'm gonna hide this. No, let's tweak it. You see now, it will generate it. It's a bit weird, the color filter. But pretty much like a default value of like 0.2 is fine for most cases. Because you would need a hair object for like all these other objects, and if you, for instance, wanted, like, if, for instance, if there was like a splash of green right here for whatever reason, you only wanted to generate like both for the brown and the green, but you wanted it to separate objects so you can color them differently, then you would have to adjust the color filter and select the color, but you would also have to have two of these objects. But that's besides the point. We can select our material. We think, what was the name of the material? This isn't part of the material, but it's easy to make. But I can just do like this. As you can see, it's here now. Now all this shader really is like, here, let me find it. I'm just gonna put in that. Switch it to 4x. White? No, it's 4x. The touching in here won't do anything. You have to select the material in here. But yeah, this is like how simple the shader is. For hair at least. By default, it should come up with Feather shader, the project file that's in there. It won't come with this model, but it will come with my geonode set up in like a test scene. It should include hairs. Not hairs, not Feather, sorry. A bit tired. But as you can see, like all it really is a simple alpha map. You plug it into the alpha. Because if we take this off, you can see how there's like black and stuff on them. And we have a color ramp that also just feeds into the base color. But with a color ramp, what's nice about that is you can change the color too. But if you want it purely off the textures color that you have selected right here, what you can do is that an attribute, an instance, no, instance, and I think the name of the attribute is colors. So the geonode sets up colors like that. I gotta like increase the size. It's not combed right now, so it looks a bit weird, but as you can see now, there's actually a white on it. Because if I hide it, you can see it has white here, white there, right around the neck, and it tries to follow, it tries to replicate it. Um, so now, all these settings you don't really need to play with. Like, you don't really need to worry about visual subdivides or, um, where is it? Diverse subdivides. That's like placeholders for features I'm trying to add. Like, I'll eventually add like built-in support for, what you call it? Yeah, wind, because I want to make it like have wind and stuff. I would also want to figure out how to make it so like the fabrics will curl, like curve, instead of just being straight ahead. But we'll leave it like this for now. You can always like adjust the shaders to your needs to however you want it. If you were to port it to a game engine or like something like VRChat, of course you will need to translate the shader over because engine to engine it doesn't always transfer cleanly. It really depends. But yeah, this like setup assumes you have some at least intermediate knowledge of like how this kind of stuff works. Not specifically the geonode setup, but rather the like just fundamentals of like this kind of like software stuff. But now I'll show you how to comb it right after I show you these two settings. So you may be wondering like also like, well this might be too big or this might not be the right angle. But as you can see is you have like settings like seed, you can change the seed, which doesn't really help. But here, this factor is a really nice thing because it lets you like instead of manually inputting a max density value, you can like slide it and it will blend between the max and the minimums. So if I want to do that, I have a really low density factor. Now if I change the angle, I can show you the seed. So you'll generate them in different places. But you don't really need to change that often unless you're like, unless it's like generating in a weird spot. You don't want it there because I've had that happen before. But besides the point, we also set like a density max value, and for some reason, because it uses distribute points on faces node to generate like the instances, but for some reason like the density max doesn't actually like it's not 1 to 1 of the amount it will actually generate for some reason. I don't know why, it's weird. That's just a Blender thing. Another important thing, you must have a UV map in here. You can check what your UV map is called. Is if you go to the object data properties on your target object. Another important thing, you must have this selected on your target mesh. Otherwise, it'll generate weirdly. But yeah, you want add rest position on. Now, if I remember correctly, you don't need a UV map and you don't need the sun on your hair object itself. That doesn't matter. So I'm gonna put back up the density. We can deal with the density, you can also lower the scale of the pirate itself. So you have more of them, more of it are bigger, more of it are less big or whatever. This is a thing typically don't need to worry about, but if you're putting this in the character that's closed, like here I'll show you what it can do. So what I'm gonna do is like just select this, do that. So now I'll Alt S to scale it. So now like pretend this is closed like on someone's back, like a piece of cape or some shit. I don't know. I'll select this. Now it hides it. Right? That's pretty cool, right? That's a feature I was working on a bit ago. You can tweak these, but they're a bit janky to tweak. I find like these settings are kind of the best. Always hide this. Don't need this anymore because now I'm gonna show you how to comb it. That's like the biggest thing, right? You want to be able to control where your feathers and stuff, like or hair cards point. So I'm gonna hide this, right? How I comb it, it's a bit convoluted, but just bear with me. Shift A, we're gonna add. Where is it? We're gonna go curve an empty hair object, right? We're gonna make sure surface UV map is bright. You don't need to worry about this. This doesn't really matter for it. But I want to make sure like the curve is parented to the 4x object, like your target object, I mean. And then what we'll do is we'll select your 4x and then control click the curves object to select the curves object as the primary object. That way what we can do is go to edit mode and then make sure we have the draw tool enabled. This is like the surface. I don't think this type matters. I just leave it as poly, but we can just make sure we have projection selected uh, on, because that way we can draw through these parts and we'll stay on the surface. Because if we don't have, like, for instance, the object selected, the 4-axis target object, it will behave weirdly, really weirdly. So let's just do that. So now we're gonna draw one side. Doesn't matter which side. Let's just do either to right or left. We're just gonna do left for the sake, and I'll show you what we do after. See, the hair cards or whatever you want to call them, they try to follow the tangents of the curves while also aligning themselves to the normal of the target mesh. Geez, I wonder if I'm sick. So my voice is really rough. I'm sorry. But yeah, let's get down here. Paint this. Oh, no. Didn't realize I. So you don't want to like intersect to the x-axis, but can't really avoid that. It's fine. So knowing that you can see both all of them through the mesh, I don't know how to disable that. I'm kind of just wanting to work around it. Have a good sense of depth, I guess. So now we have the curves, right? Exit into object mode again. By this little thing that I have right here is an add-on. It's called Machine Tools. Really nice. It allows you to quick switch between like edit mode, object mode. But by default, like object mode would be like one. I think it's like the like I don't remember honestly. It might be disabling it the Machine Tools. I'm not sure, but if I remember correctly, the default like buttons for switching from like edit mode and object mode should be I think one and two. Um, let me check. So, actually, no, that's for I'm an idiot. That's for switching between these. Ignore me. All right, let's just get back on hand. So we have the curves object, as you can see. What we're going to do is shift D it, hide the original, because the hair object, this is a hair object type, but it has nothing to do with how our hair generates our haircuts. This is just to paint the curves to make it easier. And then we'll take the one we duplicated and right click, convert to mesh. And then what we can do is mirror it. We'll select our object as mirror. And now it's on both sides, as you can see. Because by default, you can't mirror the curves object. That's not supported. It's not even a thing you can do. We converted the mesh. Now what we do, we go back to our hair object, right? And we go to curve. Jesus. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, like, honestly. I'm usually not this, like, rough with my voice. But yeah, we'll select the curve object. And boom, magic. As you can see, they face the general direction. And of course, you'll probably have to adjust your angle of hair. But here's a tip I noticed. If you ever have like, for instance, like this right here would be flipped. Let me just check because I don't remember if I fixed it or whatever. But what we're gonna do is take the curves and we'll just select mode. We press one of these vertices and press L to select all of it. Um, switch direction. Let's see. Will that affect it? Because I've had cases where cruiser had to flip direction and it would affect the whole entire thing, messing it up. So let's see. You see it? So you see what I'm talking about? How this side is facing all that side. This side is facing the right side on the top. It's facing the opposite direction. That's because the curve itself has a flip direction. That's just a blender thing. That's really easy. All you would have to do really is like go back to your curves object and make sure like any curves that are causing the hair card to flip the wrong way, you just select it and you go to right click and you do press switch direction. So now this is all facing the right direction, as you can see. God, it's lagging because it's rendering like in real time. Why is there a sphere? What was that sphere? Oh, that was weird. Oh, huh. I don't know why there's. Oh, it's because the hair curve. That's why. Yeah, just make sure you hide your hair curves. Then you can see the beautiful hair. And if you wanted to convert it to, what you call it, like a game engine, because like, the thing is, why this is so performative is because it's instance. That's the term, yeah. All the hair cards are instances of one another. So it's not actual realized geometry. That's like the biggest thing why it's so optimized. Despite it being calculated in real time. So, but if you wanted to use it here, before I show you how to convert it to a game engine, if you wanted to use it strictly in like Blender, but you wanted it to be like, on an animated character that has weight paints, another thing you would have to do, right, is go to your curves object, not the hair curves, but the one you converted to mesh, and then add a surface deform modifier and choose your target mesh. That way, all the hair curves are all aligned with like how it deforms still. But also, what you would have to do on frame 0, you would go to your geonode setup. Oops, lagging. Where am I? And you would go to here and bake it. That way, it doesn't constantly recalculate all the positions and it's more optimized. It will still update the positions, but there'll be less calculations to do how to due to how it sorts through the positions and offsets them. Yeah, you want to bake it, but that's pretty much it. But besides the point, like that's I'm pretty sure because a lot of things you really need to do. Like, I'm pretty sure I've covered everything so far. But now, if you want to like park this to a game engine, right? We go to the very end of the geonode setup. Right after this node and right between this node, we'll actually let's just duplicate this object first. So we have a backup. So now we have this backup. This one right here, the OG. So what we'll do is create a shift A and we'll add a realized instances so that they become physical geometry. They'll lose their color. That's not something you can normally fix. I might have to find a way to see if you can bake the textures, but that's not supported right now. Um, all the geometry. Let's see. Uh, they all share the same UV map, like UV map coordinates. Like all these hair cards, they share the same texture. Because if I go to what's it called? Here one, right? You can see that the hair kind of like intersects with it. Now, depending on how your texture is, you may have to like offset it like I did here, right? Modify the position and whatnot, rotation of the image itself, so that it does fit within the higher card UV map. But that's not really something you have to normally worry about. I mean, it really depends on like how you sync up your shader in your game engine. As it's not like you can just port the shader over directly. It's like they use different shading languages and all that. You never know though. I have some experience with like game development, but not anything crazy. Like, I used to program a game in like Godot, but I stopped because it was just too much. I guess I wasn't enjoying it. Besides the point, how because like after you add your realized instances, you would go to convert to mesh, uh, and now it's actual real geometry. And as you can see, if I go to here, uh, okay. I think selecting it like from here selects everywhere to see behind it. But yeah, let's hear. If I were to unwrap this, you see how bright it is now. But if I were to go unwrap, you can see how many they are, really. Just like that. But you don't want that. You don't want to unwrap it. You want it to share the same position. That way, when you put an image texture on the object, they'll all intersect and have that same like image on them. But because it's converted, it loses its color if you're doing it this way, using the attribute, which won't work. Actually, hold up. I didn't know you could do that. Huh. Alright. That's interesting. I get. I honestly didn't know that because I've never tried this. Usually, I always have set the instancer. Jesus Christ, I can't speak. But yeah, instancer on the shader itself is for like when it's like actually not realized geometry, but make sure you always remove the realized instance node if you're just gonna use it in Blender and like when you're testing it, modifying it, or whatever you want to do to it. So now, like as you can see, this is the instance geometry, and also then this is the hair. Well, let me just make sure I'm not like crazy. Okay, I'm not crazy. I guess the geometry does fix it. I didn't know that. I didn't know that would fix it. Alright, so like, I didn't even know about it. But yeah, I'm not sure how well like does converting this from a Blender shader to like a game engine, how well that would work. I'm sure it wouldn't be too big of a problem, but with regards to like an attribute, you could always like just feed it its own custom shader instead of like, an attribute. Like the shader and the geometry is two different things. You can always customize it however you need it to. I'm gonna duplicate this and name it realized. That way, that's one there. But yeah, if I remember correctly, that's everything so far. You kind of just have to play around with the settings. Now, I won't explain if you're curious about V subdivide. All that does is kind of subdivides the base model to make it have like you're able to have denser and smoother points, I guess. Because if I were to increase it, oh yeah, it's baked right now. Let me undo the bake. So make sure you always undo the bake if you bake it. You can change the settings. But yeah, like subdivides like just makes it like more denser. It'll make it very laggy depending on how it's set up, but you don't really need to touch to be honest. That's only there for debugging purposes, but you can also like divide, subdivide the hair cards itself, which doesn't seem to be working. I'm not sure. I don't know. That's like you don't really ever need to really touch this to be honest. It's just there. Alright. I'm pretty sure that's everything. If you have any questions, comment down below or contact me personally. That is it. Alright. Take care, y'all.